Good morning, everyone. Morning. Welcome to Toastmasters. Hey, I'm Lockport. Today's 23rd of September. We're going to have a great day today. I did not see who the inspiration was for today.
Hi.
Jackie. Okay, I'll give her a moment to
Sip.
There we go. Yes, it is.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, here and abroad. I dwell in possibility. That's a favorite quote from Emily Dickinson. And I think we all dwell in possibility here at Toastmasters, joining together to be successful, to improve, and have a good time so early in the morning. So welcome, everyone.
Thank you very much, Jackie.
All right, if we could all stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I love your shirt.
I believe I will be positioned up here for some of this to help you out, David.
Okay.
So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our Toastmaster for today, Mr. David Jones. Zoom in on him.
Mr. President, unfortunately, I'm not there, so I can't see if we have any guests that we need to acknowledge. Are there any guests in the room?
No, they're not.
Okay, perfect. I picked the theme of concerts today because as I go through my Facebook, I see more and more friends posting that they are at a concert or musical venue. And maybe it's a way of saying that we're trying to get back to normalcy during the pandemic. And it was 6 months or a year ago where we were all posting that we were at restaurants. We were like, eating food with other people. And now we're at concerts. We don't care. We're just out in the open having a great time. And it's just a way of saying that we're trying to get back to normalcy. And some people post better than others. You know, some people will post that they're at a concert and they'll show pictures, which is great. But then I have some friends that'll post 20 minutes later, they'll go live and they'll be showing the song going on and they want everybody to listen. Then 20 minutes later, same thing, they're going to post the next song. And it's like, all right, we get it, enough already. And before Facebook, we'd have to let our friends know that we were at a concert by butt dialing them accidentally. You know, I'd be at a U2 concert and I would call Paul and just pretend I didn't know. And then when he'd hang up, I'd call the next person. And the next day they'd be like, did you accidentally butt dial me? I was like, did I? And that was the way we let people know what we were up to. We had to fake it until they knew it. Now we got Facebook, so we can all do it. And I believe that it makes me think back to my first concert as I'm going through all these posts. I had very sadistic parents, and the first concert I ever went to, I was in either middle school or elementary school, but it was Chuck Mangione in a little, I don't know, flugelhorn or whatever he played. But that was my.
Hey, Carol here.
And that was my first concert. I'm sorry. And now I listen to jazz. That's my thing. So I'm a Chuck Mangione person. I guess inbred, or I don't know what the heck you call it, but that was what I was at. So throughout tonight, since we only have 2 speakers, I'll be asking different people about your concert experiences and what your, I'm just kind of watching the screen over there. I just want to make sure I'm not fading. There I go. I just want to make sure I don't fade out. I'm just going to be asking different concert questions and stuff like that. And since he's readily available at the mic, I'm going to ask Phil Russell real quick. And I hope the answer is not Beethoven, but what was the first concert that you ever went to and that you remember? And you're on mute. And you're on mute. He was not audio at any concerts. Okay, go ahead.
No.
Yeah.
Good. All right. All right. First off, I have to tell everybody, I can honestly say I did not make it to Woodstock. Very serious that and lifeguarding. and I was so mad. However, I think my first outdoor concert was Chicago. And lately, you mentioned jazz. Bobby Militello, if you know him, plays the horn. He came to Alcott and he played an hour and a half gig. And this man is incredible. He's known all over the jazz world. And it was outdoors at Alcott in the gazebo park. It was marvelous. A few pops, nice sunny day, and man, they played some great jazz. Didn't cost a thing. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you for sharing, Phil. Now, our role keepers for tonight, we're going to start with Tom, and I'm assuming his first concert was probably like Bananarama. He looks like that kind of guy. So, Tom, want to tell us about your role in your first concert?
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. Welcome everyone this morning. I am the word master. I will be giving a word which will be required to be used in table topics. And everyone else is highly encouraged to use the word throughout the day. It is right underneath the camera there. So if you're up here speaking, pretty easy to see it there. And the word is shindig. Oh, that's a noun. And it means a social gathering with dancing or an unusually large and lavish party, which is what I think this is every single week. We're at a shindig. I'm going to my shindig. The first shindig I actually got to go to with music and a concert was my brother's recitals in high school. And then later on, my sister's little dancing things, but that I don't think is what kind of concert you're looking for. Although I did learn how to people watch, and it became more fun. I'd like to sit up near the front, and then as a kid, you can like kind of turn around and look back at the audience, and I would just watch people slowly dying in their chairs, waiting for their child to play, and then they get all excited. You can tell when they're on stage. I had my first concert experience in the military. There was a free for the troops kind of concert overseas, and a bunch of different artists showed up. I can't list them all, and I don't want to be disrespectful by only selecting the ones that I liked. But I'll tell you, after having no entertainment forever, it didn't matter who it was, we were happy to get it. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Shindig.
Shindig. So I was going to say concert, musical event, or shindig. So it's perfect that you picked that word. Unfortunately, I think our next role keeper doesn't know much about music, but we'll see if he's ever been to a concert. And that's going to be Larry as our awe master. If you want to tell us a little bit of something.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. This morning, I will be the master. I just found out 30 seconds ago. I will be counting all of the ahs, ums, pregnant pauses, and anything else that interrupts your speech throughout the morning. And I will report when I'm called upon later. And my question about my first shindig, where was that at? In all honesty, my very first concert that I ever went to, are you ready for it? Anybody, any guesses? It was a duel. It was at the Niagara Falls Convention Center. Close. It was the Carpenters.
Oh, okay.
The Carpenters was my very first concert. I sat in the third row center stage.
Where?
Niagara Falls Convention Center, which is now the casino. Way back when, my very first concert. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Larry. Appreciate it. And next up is our grammarian, Nancy Farrell. And Nancy, your same question. Is she there? I don't see her getting up. There she is. Same question. First concert that you can remember, in addition to what your role is.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Okay. Sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Today I will be grammarian. I will be listening for language that makes me cringe, but more importantly, I will be also listening for wonderful use of the English language. And I'm too old to remember my first concert.
Come on,
I have no idea.
Your most recent.
I don't go to concerts much. I'm sorry. I like music, but I don't like big crowds and I don't like loud music that is, it hurts my ears. I guess as we age, our ears are a little bit more sensitive. But when you mentioned the Carpenters, I grew up right outside of New Haven and that's where they were from. One time, this was way back when the airports were really small and you could just kind of hang around and do your own thing and walk out to the plane. And all of a sudden the Carpenters came in with all their stuff. I was like, the Carpenters. There were only like 5 people in the airport and I was too scared to say hello or get an autograph or anything else. I just watched them and got all excited. Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nancy. That was a great story to share about the Carpenters. And next up is going to be our jester, I believe. No, our quote master, Tom Moran, who is on with me.
I have to unmute. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I picked a quote that was kind of appropriate for myself. It says, growing up, it's by Summer Sanders. Growing up, I was a little hippie kid. I went to some good concerts, Amnesty International with Bob Dylan, Tracy Chapman. The best concert I ever went to was the one at the Cow Palace, my freshman year of college. On New Year's Eve, it was Pearl Jam opening for Nirvana, opening for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now, that's a concert to see. So interestingly enough that you picked this, last week I went to a concert with my son-in-law and a couple of my grandsons, and it was in Boston here down at the Shell. If you've ever been to Boston, there's a concert venue down on the water, and it's a perfect venue. It's a Shell and it overlooks the water and the city of Boston lit up at night. It was Lord Huron, which is kind of like somebody, it takes a certain appetite to follow Lord Huron. But at this shindig, as we were going in, one of my grandsons, he asked me, he says, Papa, he says, yeah, you gonna like this concert? I said, sure. He said, and we were all together, and he says, this is my first concert. And I said, oh, that's great, Jack. You know, I said, you'll probably remember this for a long time. He said, what was your first concert? And I had to think back, and I said, oh, my first concert was Roy Orbison. And he looks at me and he says, and then he looks at his father, he says, who? It's kind of like, I guess that's the response I was expecting. So that's my story. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
And thank you, Mr. Quotemaster. And unfortunately, like I said, I'm not there, but I'm assuming Larry Eggert is there to be our jester.
No.
Larry today.
No.
No, Larry.
No,
Larry
and he's
Eggert.
not on.
I would like-
Moran said he had a jest.
Okay, well, the best jester I know is Phil. Phil, do you have anything to entertain us as a impromptu jester? Some Philisms.
Well, Mr. Toastmaster, I was trying to think about that for a second. And my favorite concert was probably 10 years after down in Tennessee. But I have to tell you a little story. You want to go to a shindig, you got to be in Tennessee. And there's going to be some cloud dancing. There's going to be some fiddle playing. There's going to be some guitars. There's going to be banjo. And let me tell you, first off, you got to have a 4-wheel drive to get up there. Then after that, you better have some good walking shoes. Because I'm going to tell you something. You're going to need to walk at least a mile up some rough terrain. And then when you get there, there is a whole lot of people that just did the same thing coming from all over the hills. And it's in a barn, a real big barn. And boy, you have never been to a shindig until you've been one in the hills of Tennessee. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Phil, for filling in last minute. And next up is our timer, Michael Florio. If you want to tell us your role and maybe the last concert you went to.
AOL today. No mic today.
Timer up for grabs.
Oh, I don't have a timer either. Whoever stands up first is the timer. Okay. Perfect.
Everybody wants table topics today then.
Yes. So I will be timing and looking for the word shindig during table topics.
Perfect.
All right. So as timer, I'm going to be timing the speaking portions of the meeting. That's table topics, the actual speakers, and the evaluations. I'll give reports when called upon, and that is my role. And I was thinking, sitting at my table, which shindig, I actually do remember my first concert. My father took me with him and a couple of his buddies, because they had an extra ticket, to Humperdinck, Engelberg Humperdinck.
Oh, wow.
Right?
I'm sorry.
The Clouds, yeah, that's okay. No, but I love that song Clouds, you know?
Engelbert's cool.
Going down the bumping street. Da, 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 da. No? Besides that, exactly. I'm not a big singer. Jackie's excited though. She remembers that song. So yes, and definitely songs bring back memories. So that memory, actually, I remember I drank my first beer as well. So that was a shindig at like 8 years old. So yeah, 3rd or 4th grade. So there you go. Go ahead, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. President, for stepping in as timer as well, doing a dual role. And next up is going to be our tech and gesture master, Leonard Thornton. Leonard, do you want to tell us? Is he there? All right, perfect.
Present and accounted for. First off, my first concert, I'm sad to say I don't remember it.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember what it was. It was probably Rush concert at Buffalo's Memorial Auditorium. I'm sure I snuck out with a couple hundred other people to get good tickets, because that's what you did back in the day. Before the fix was in and you could just pay more money to get front row seats or get them from secondhand markets. It was probably either the Fly By Night or the 2112 tour. I don't know which, but memorable and the first of many, many concerts, as my hearing impairment will attest. My job as tech and gesture master is to look for gestures, all the nonverbal communications that we do when we're speaking that add so much to the meaning of our words, as well as how well you use the microphone, how well you use technology if you're on Zoom. I'll be noting all of that and give a report at the end. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Tech and Gesture Master. And I hope there wasn't confusion. I see Beth has it on her. She has TGM. So I'm assuming maybe there was a mix-up, but that's fine. Which is kind of a hint to Margot of who she can call on in a minute. But before Margot, we're going to go to our quiz master, Sylvia Baptiste, to tell us about her role in her first concert.
Yeah, as first concert, I'm gonna say it's way back. I think we went to Barry Manilow, way back in Buffalo. That was one of the first ones. I'd like to. And the last one was, as Bill mentioned, Chicago. I brought my son to Darien Lake to see Chicago, and it was like, it was the best concert I've seen. One of the best. Bill Collins was better. But Chicago was very good with the music and all the different orchestra bands that they were musicians. They were really good. Today I'm going to test everybody's memory, and at the end I'll ask a few questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And now we get to go to our table topics master, Margot Sue Bittner, who will ask us some impromptu questions.
Good morning. Good morning. So now I got a bone to pick though, Dave. What's wrong with Beethoven? Because my first concert was the Philadelphia Orchestra with Eugene Ormandy conducting. I live near Albany. They would do every summer in Saratoga Performing Arts Center, and for the 4 weeks they were there, we went at least once a week. So, yeah, obviously my mother and father were very into classical music, and they still are. But since you've been asking everybody else, I'm still gonna stick to my first question about what your first concert was. And I guess, Jill, did you go to a concert once for your birthday? What is the concert you remember the best? Jill Rohr.
Can't say that I remember any concerts the best. I've never been a big concert goer. Like when everybody started going to concerts, I was into horses. Horses don't go to concerts. They go to horse shows. I did go see in college. The first year I was at Morrisville, they brought in a country band, which I didn't want to go see, so I didn't go see that. The second year, everything was country. The first year I was there, it was pretty disgusting. The second year, the shindig I went to was April Wine. And Morrisville is about 30 miles east of Syracuse. And it's kind of funny because one of my friends had seen them in Buffalo the night before. And you know how they banter with the crowd. Apparently they bantered with the crowd yet. Tomorrow night we're going to Morrisville. Anybody know where the heck Morrisville is or something like that? And of course, when they got to Morrisville, it was, greatest town ever. You know? So my one big memory of that is a guy had an epileptic seizure right in front of me. So that was not really much to remember. So, thank you.
Jill. So I did actually go to a few other types of concerts. In college, I was known for going to them, where I went to a number of them. Now, our freshman year, about 3 weeks, 4 weeks into the year, I went to a Harry Chapin concert on a double date with other people. My date, I have no idea where he is. The other guy, well, that's what married to. And he got to go to his first classical concert in college. The Juilliard String Quartet performed, and at the time, one of the performers, the violist, was a shirt tail relative until the family split. But in any case, we got to meet some shirt tail relatives that night. So he actually had the experience of his first concert. So I guess I will ask Edna, any concerts in college you'd like to share about? Because I know it's been a long time and I've missed seeing you.
It was Jolson, wasn't it?
Good to see you, my dear. Thank you. Good to see you too.
Well, it's so long ago that I was in college, but I went to Fredonia State. So I know Billy Militello because he did too. And the music department at Fredonia was substantially more important than the speech department, especially when I was there. So I did get to go to a lot of concerts at Fredonia. But I don't honestly remember them. When I left, I worked at Melody Fair for 2 years. Yes, that was fun. That's where I met my husband. And Jill, I'm sorry to say my husband and I are country.
I'm okay with it now.
Oh, good. We went to every Johnny Cash concert that was in Western New England
Wow.
or Ontario. He just, if Johnny Cash was going to be there, he was going. And we also saw a lot of other country people. And I like country too. I didn't in the beginning, but I learned to like it. And now that's about all that's all I listen to. Now, shindigs are a little bit different from concerts to me.
because you gotta have dancing and food. And I can't remember going to a real shindig. Maybe I'll have to throw one. Yeah, the table stuff.
Thank you, Edna. Nice to know that we both met our husbands through music. So there are a lot of people that we have seen in our lives, a lot of people we haven't. So my next question would be, who, living or dead, would you really love to see in concert? And let's see. Okay, Steve, how about if you take this one? Since I've had two women, I got to get a guy in there.
Thank you, Margot.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna switch it up just a little bit here, because you started jogging my memory. And the truth is, I don't really remember the concerts I used to go to, and you'll understand why when I tell you that Mike Reinbold and I used to go to a lot of concerts. Now, when we go to these big shindigs, we had a pattern. I don't know if you're familiar with what's called a wineskin or a Bota bag, or by its more common name, a gut sack. But we always had ours loaded because you could put that here, or actually I could swing mine around so it was my back and go into the concert. Open your coat, I got nothing. Only got caught once with that. But here's the thing, yeah, people are friendly at a concert. They want to share drags off your, whatever you're drinking. Well, most of these people are drinking cutesy wine and fun stuff. Mike had Southern Comfort and I had 100 proof vodka. So they take a swig of that, they, what the are you drinking? So because of that, we don't remember a lot of the concerts, but they were good ones. You did make me remember one concert we went to at the old convention center, Blue Oyster Cult. You remember General Admission? Oh yeah, we were sitting there shoulder to shoulder and people started getting cranky and we thought, are we gonna get out of here alive? Fortunately, some senior people decided that wasn't a smart way to run a concert. But also I've been to classical concerts because my astronomy group used to work in conjunction with the Buffalo Philharmonic. We'd set up and do our scope, they would do Holt's The Planets. So I've been from mile to mile. So I appreciate all kinds of music except country. My brother was alive, he loved country music. So I developed a deep abiding hate of it. Madam Field Doctors.
I actually now have a deal, since I like classical and he doesn't, we always go to the Philharmonic, we pick out 2 or 3 of the pop and 2 or 3 of the classical. And it worked out very well for the last couple of years. For me. Also helps that I have to attend to the Philharmonic. In any case, Mr. Timer and Mr. Wordmaster, would you please give our reports on how everyone did?
You, Madam Tables Topics Master. Well, for the word of the day, Jill, I did not catch it. Anyone help her? No? Okay. Edna used it twice and Steve used it once. I think Steve was like prodding me when I used it. I think he was trying to help, but you didn't see him. Okay. And everyone for time came in the yellow section. Jill at 122, Edna at 142, and Steve at 155.
So while you are all casting your ballots, I'm not sure who's going to take sergeant at arms today. I will hand everything back over to our Toastmaster of the day, Mr. Jones. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Margot. And as far as Beethoven goes, I guess I didn't tell the joke properly, but I asked Phil what his first concert was, and I said, I hope it wasn't Beethoven, which was obviously the 1800s. That was, I guess it went over everybody's head. Now, before I forget, one of my favorite parts of AM Lockport is doing a toast. And I didn't realize that we could, as Steve said it, take a drag of your drink, but evidently we're going to take a drag of the drink. So here's the AM Lockport.
Here, here.
Here.
Now, again, I can't see. I'm assuming Ryan is in the house.
No.
He is, or no?
No assume.
No?
What's this?
Mark is here.
So Ryan is not there.
That means it's
Well, tabletop is the best meeting.
Ryan, our first speech.
Brian is not here, Mark is.
Okay. Then I'm assuming Dave Licata is going to be his evaluator. So I don't know if Dave wants to introduce him as. Is Dave not there?
Dave's here.
Okay, perfect.
David, but
Marty's ready to
Marty is
go.
prepped to be it. So you have
Oh,
the
okay.
M&M show, the Marty and Mark show.
There you go.
So
Perfect.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, this morning, Mark is presenting from Presentation Mastery, Effective Body Language. It's a 5 to 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minute presentation. And the purpose is to deliver a speech with awareness of his intentional and unintentional body language. Secondly, to learn and practice and refine how he uses nonverbal communications when delivering a speech. As I said, it's a 5 to 7 minute speech. Fellow Toastmasters, I present to you Mark Campos, the other side of the tracks. Mark Campos, the other side of the tracks.
Thank you, Marty. If the timer can pause for a moment, I would just like to acknowledge the Toastmasters theme of the day about concerts. It is somewhat in my wheelhouse. My first concert was Kiss at Radio City Music Hall. My buddy was big into them, not so much in my wheelhouse. I was a metalhead in the 80s. I had long hair, you've seen the pictures. We used to go see everybody in New York because you had so many venues. And it helped that the expensive seats were $17.50 and the cheap seats were $16.50. Not so much anymore. And my favorite band is Rush, and I've seen them 20 times, the last time with Glenn. All right, now I'm ready to start. Fellow Toastmasters, good morning. My wife and I have always been beach people. I grew up near the beach, was there all the time. She spent a lot of time at the beach as well. We take vacations in Florida quite frequently. And locally, we used to rent cottages up at Shirkston for a while. And then when we obtained a camper, we would keep our camper up at Shirkston for the season for a few years. That's pretty expensive, especially when the exchange rates weren't so good. And then we had it on the American side in a campground on the Seneca Nation reservation. The dream always was to own our own cottage, not waterfront, obviously, very pricey, but to just be in a beach community. So in early 2018, we embarked on this adventure and we decided we would look for a cottage. We found one. It was in the community right next to the campground. We knew it needed work, had a great piece of property. And then the home inspection took place. And that was all she wrote. No more cottage. So we were a little disappointed. We were working with a friend who's a realtor, and we said to her, look, just keep your eye out, see if you can find an empty piece of land. Maybe we'll buy it if it has access and we'll build something someday. What does she come back with? She finds a cottage in Sunset Bay. Now, those of you that grew up here probably have more than a couple of Sunset Bay stories, but I didn't grow up here, so I never really spent any time there. We did not want to go look at this place. I don't know why we're going. This is a waste of time. It's more money than we want to spend. And then we went there and really fell in love with the community. And it turned out the cottage was turnkey, which was that much more appealing. I could give an entire speech about that buying process because along the way, just about everything that could go wrong went wrong. Then somehow the obstacles cleared and we bought the place. And we've been there since August of 2018. Now, when you cross the railroad tracks and enter Sunset Bay, you immediately feel like you're on vacation. You hear the residents tell it,
At one point, it used to be about 75% renters, a lot calmer now. But you can still count on a shindig just about every weekend. It's about 25% renters. And there's more people like ourselves, that families that are buying the places and trying to keep them for themselves, and they're not renting. Here's some vital statistics for Sunset, and this is all you need to know. 2 beaches, 3 boat launches, and 3 bars, all within a very, very tight radius. And again, you can count on a shindig just about every weekend. However, there are some special ones that take place, like the Sunset Bay Experience, where there's a pre-COVID, there was a 5K run, as well as many vendors, street vendors that would be there where you can buy all sorts of crafts and such. And at the end of the season, you have the wonderful boat burning party, which is this weekend. I learned a few years ago, you have to take a nap and plan on going there much later, because they burn the boat a lot later than they say they're going to burn the boat. And that's when the party begins. Now, it's not without its problems. Sunset floods, I found that out, especially when Lake Erie is very high. You get the seiches, I believe they're called, and the wind comes screaming across Lake Erie, tends to flood out the place. As I call this, these are first world problems. Nobody's really going to feel that bad for you that your beach place has some water standing. Our favorite thing is to sit on our front deck. We're right on Iola Drive, if you're familiar with Sunset Bay. It's the main drag coming in, going to Cabana Sands and the Sunset Bay Beach Club. And just watch the world go by on our front deck. Watch the beach crowd go to the beach and come home. And then even better is to watch the bar crowd go to the bar and then attempt to walk home. We've seen a few face plants, we've seen some ugliness, but it's all in good fun. Now back to those railroad tracks. When you first get to Sunset, you notice trains go by an awful lot. At the railroad crossing, they have to blow the whistle. My God, it is an annoyance. But then over time, that same demarcation, those tracks that you cross that put you in vacation mode, also bring the trains, and those whistles that you hear become a soothing sound to let you know that you're on vacation. So fellow Toastmasters, and I'm sorry, David, being afar, because you can't take advantage of this. If any of you are ever down there, please let me know and stop and visit us. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. And can we get a timers report? I'm assuming it's just the one speaker.
I would say that's correct. I now declare myself the assistant Toastmaster for the day to help you out, Dave. So
Okay.
yes, and we have just the one speaker today.
Okay. So we can get a timers report. Yeah. Can I timers report? Yeah.
All right, so Mark qualified with 538, so you can vote for Mark or Mark as speaker of the day. Or Mark, yes. All right, gonna go ahead and give that, same with evaluator of the day, his evaluator.
Ryan.
He's supposed to make time. Yeah, oh, that's right. As long as it stays the time. But I'm taking away from the Toastmasters duty. You take care of that. I am going to go sit down back down.
All right, well, I am going to give Marty a few minutes to get his thoughts together to do evaluation. And since we have ample time, I'd like to call on some people to participate that we haven't heard from in a while. And I want to start on Zoom with Eric. Eric, we haven't heard from in quite a while. And Eric, do you have any concert memories or anything you'd like to share? You're available? There he is.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Good morning, everybody. My first concert experience, trying to remember. I was When I was little, I think we were in North Tonawanda when we went to see Blue Rodeo in concert. I think it was an outdoor concert and Blue Rodeo was performing. And I didn't know who Blue Rodeo was at the time, but I heard they got good songs. But anyway, another concert I went to, does anybody remember the Molson Canal concert series that they had downtown playing in the parking lot?
Yeah.
I heard like Eddie Money, but Eddie Money was drunk on stage and his daughter had to make sure he doesn't fall off stage. We had the B-52s, but the B-52s were so mad because they were playing in the parking lot full of drunken people. But those are the concerts I enjoyed because I can stay out late and I don't have to go to bed early. So those were some of the concert experience I enjoy going to. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you for sharing, Eric. Appreciate it. And Beth, same question. I don't know if you got to hear the Celtic Women. Is that the, I always like them, but I don't know what kind of concerts you've been able to hear.
I've gone to a variety of concerts. I do remember Melody Fair going to, I believe his name was John Davidson. So that was a very long time ago. I've seen the Beach Boys play with the Bison's baseball game. I've seen the Red Hot Chili Pipers, not Peppers, at the Rochester Armory. Great band, really cool building. Acoustics were terrible. They're just not good in an armory. If anyone thinks, oh, it's a cool building and we'll go to a concert, maybe not so much. Since then, my concert experience has to be more related to the Celtic Festival than anything else. And of course, we've brought in some amazing bands, some from your part of the country. This year we had a Tennessee band, a South Carolina band, and even as far away as a Florida band with our locals. So that's my concert experience. Thanks, David.
Thank you for sharing. Appreciate it. And we still have a few minutes. I'll give Marty a few more minutes to continue to put his thoughts together. And I'm going to ask Dave the same question, but I'm going to go ahead and load his gun because there's obviously an elephant in the room, and that is participation at AM Lockport. I mean, that was one of the things I loved about AM Lockport. They were booked months in advance and everybody showed up. I spoke to speaker number 1 last night via email. I assumed he was going to be here, but he wasn't. But so many roles aren't being filled. I mean, I signed up for Toastmaster yesterday, so I'm not sure what's going on, but it's just an obvious change or shift in how the club is operating. Also, the promotion. Tuesday night here in Charlotte, we had 6 visitors, 2 of which signed up immediately in person because people want to get out and be in the room. And the fact that you don't have any guests, I'm not sure what's happening, but maybe Dave can address his first concert and the elephant in the room. So Dave, take it away.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster. And as I look around this room, nice try. As I look around this room, I just see such a bunch of kids. God, they're so young. 1963, I just graduated from 8th grade. Uncle Gene and my dad decided to take my cousin Jimmy and myself to Melody Fair. Ladies and gentlemen, can you think of a better first concert than Louis Armstrong?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow, what a wonderful world that was.
And on top of that, once I started dating, I need a giant index of every group there ever was because I could check off a lot of names. But somebody mentioned Barry Manilow. I'm so old, I went to see Bette Midler and Barry Manilow was playing the piano for her. Now think about that. And I've been so lucky. Sammy Davis Jr., Ray Charles, the Kinks, maybe 3 times. I've just been so lucky and I've seen so many concerts. But my biggest claim to fame is the Rolling Stones 5 count them 5 times. The first time I went, it was $10 in Toronto. That was 1972, and my dear friend John Rosenberg that included me in his wedding that day. And I showed up in a tux, and we got through the ceremony and maybe a third of the reception, and I disappeared in the men's room and hung up my tux and put on my cut-off jeans and grabbed my date. We headed to Toronto to see the Rolling Stones. He's still mad. But I told him, I said, John, I'm graduating from college. It's going to be a fantastic summer. Don't do anything crazy. Well, I got married. So that's it. What we have here, Mr. Toastmaster, I am very encouraged about the attendance today in person. I'm very happy about the in-person attendance today. Do we need guests? Oh, yes, 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 we need guests. Now, I've been in touch with Elizabeth Painter Morana on Facebook. If she discovers our Zoom capacity, I pray that she'll be here any minute. But then again, you don't know who you're dealing with. There's Zoomers and there's non-Zoomers. Right, Edna?
Yes.
Okay. So,
None.
so we will go to work and we will take care of that. What was my last concert? Oh, my last concert was the Rolling Stones at, now it's Highmark Stadium because we like to change the name every 18 months. All righty. Well, that pretty much wraps up my part of the show. Who's next?
We're going to have Marty come up and give us an evaluation.
Hey, this time I'd like to introduce the erstwhile and incredibly thin and sincere. You ready, Marty? Yep. It's Marty Johnson with the evaluation of our dear friend Mark Campos. Marty.
Thank you, David, fellow Toastmasters, Mr. Toastmaster, and Mark for showing us effective use of body language. And you did just that. Told us about the other side of the tracks. I was waiting for that to come up during your speech, and I'm glad that you used it when you did. The timing was just right. Mark, you had great use of your hands this morning, and my duty as your evaluator was to focus on intentional and unintentional uses of gestures, body language. And tell me, was this intentional when you changed hands? I noticed that you did that very smoothly. You changed hands and you had us going. You're explaining things very well with your hand you were using, and then you would use this hand. So that was unintentional. It was unintentional. You did a great job. That was one of the things I picked up on. So kudos to you. It was very good how you did that. It was very smooth. You had slight body movement when you were talking. You didn't use the whole speaking area, which we were talking about before. If you look at this camera, correct me if I'm wrong, Larry or Len, but what you see in this picture is the speaking area. Is that correct? To the left and the right. So you used some of it, which is fine. You did a good job with that. A couple of suggestions. When you're talking about the train going by, I was waiting for you to do a you know, just you could have done something like that, and possibly a little gesture of a face plant, and someone walked by, and my wife and I were sitting on the porch, and we were watching a couple of bar patrons go by, and all of a sudden this was awesome. Just my take on something that you could have done. Oh, the other thing I would like to suggest is that you describe the beautiful colors at the bay. I'm sure there's a beautiful sunset that you can see after all the energy and all the pains of finding your ideal vacation spot. And you were sitting there and you saw the beautiful sunset. It made it all worthwhile. Something along that line. I think you did a wonderful job, Mark. The manual did mention that you can practice before a mirror or another group of people. And I always like to go back into the presentations that I give to see the remarks that I was given, or to try to use a technique that they describe. And I would recommend that if there's ever anything that you wanted to do, that you didn't do, you try it in the next speech, because that's, I think, all the more that you'll gain from it if you use as much of the advice that they give you it's online now, it's not a manual, on the online project description. Mark, I wish you the best in your presentation mastery projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evaluator. And even though he is the winner of the night, we'll see if he qualified so we can get a timers report. Getting your cardio up and down.
Oh, yeah, hold the microphone here. Okay. He did qualify in the safety buffer zone at 3:05.
Perfect. Thank you much.
No problem.
And now I'll turn it over to our general evaluator, Dr. Stevens.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and our Toastmasters on Zoom. So as the general evaluator, I'm going to do my job first. And then I will probably introduce roles off the cuff, so I don't have the agenda. That's fine. So thank you, Dave, for stepping up as Toastmaster. It was last minute, but we did step up, and I appreciate that. So it's a little harder to wrangle everybody last minute. So you did your best with that. So it was appreciated for sure. And you are doing it on Zoom. That's also a first. So I don't think we've had a Toastmaster on Zoom. And we did have some assistants here, multiple assistants, Margot, thank you, and Tom, that helped you out with that. For improvements, as Toastmasters, we always like to recommend improvements. You didn't introduce me. So that was the one cardinal sin of the general evaluator. The person that's evaluating you should be introduced. Before I go into evaluating Marty, I want to talk about concerts. So I had a number of years there where I went to concerts. Could have been a, what do they call it? Midlife crisis. It's possible. I think I had 2 of them actually. I went 3 years straight where I saw pretty much everybody that I wanted to see. And my wife was like, what is going on? There's too many concerts in the schedule. My all-time favorite was Eric Clapton. So that was really nice. I love that one the most. Just because he's so iconic. And he's just appreciative, even though he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 3 times, appreciative that anybody's coming to see him. So I appreciated that. My first concert was Bryan Adams, followed by Journey with Steve Perry. So that one I like to remember. I'd like to say it's my first one, but it really wasn't. It was Bryan first. Because Bryan Adams went out of the music scene for a while and became an artist. You know that. And he came back recently. So that's my theme-related feedback. Evaluation for Marty, second part of my job as general evaluator. He had good suggestions as always. He talked about just ramping it up just a hair with the extra gestures and the extra sounds, just to enhance things a little bit. I believe he mentioned showing a picture as well. I got that out of his evaluation. Maybe he didn't, but I think he did. That would be nice to see a vision of Sunset Bay to some degree. I would like to have Marty had put a little mention in that Mark was at DTM to show respect for that, certainly. And because of that, Mark's flow was really smooth. I thought. That's something that you can tell he's done a bunch of speeches. I did like the fact that Marty did give a conclusion at the end. Sometimes the evaluators just walk off the stage and that's it. And drop the mic kind of thing. So it's always good to throw a little thank you in there in the conclusion. So good job, Marty. At this point, Mr. Toastmaster, do you want to do the roles or shall I?
Since I did not properly introduce you, I'll give you some more time so you can introduce the roles.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, we had a request to go first because a member has to leave. So Nancy, if you could talk about your role, which is grammarian. Thank you.
Ask myself. There were a few phrases that made my skin crawl. Stuff like that. Using the word at the end of a sentence is a lot of people sitting. It was like fun stuff. Yeah, I heard yeah a few times. Have to, gonna, wanna, and bunch of. Some of the more powerful, fluid, I would say colorful, but I always think that word colorful language has to be used, but you know what I mean. Shindig, the word of the day. What a great word. Banter with the crowd, shirt tail relatives, substantially, a drag of a drink. I haven't heard that either. It was interesting. The M&M show was clever. Wheelhouse, turnkey, erstwhile, and cardinal sin. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you, Nancy. At this point, I would like to get a quiz master report, and I believe that's Sylvia. Come on down.
Something. Our inspirational quote was from
Jackie.
No, who did she quote?
Oh, I came in late.
You came in late.
I just heard the
Emily
Jackie part.
Dickinson. She did an Emily Dickinson quote. Let's see. Oh. David Jones' first concert was with who? Who was he seeing?
He was singing with the monkeys.
He was seeing Chuck Mangione. Come on, guys, you're listening this morning. I can't believe it.
Chuck Mangione.
Yes. Larry McKenzie, first concert.
Karen and
Why
Richard.
you-
Carpenters.
Carpenters, right. Jill didn't go to many concerts because she was into what?
Horses.
And who's gonna throw the next shindig?
Edna.
Edna is, we expect one from her soon. The M&M crowd, who is that today?
Marty and Mark.
Yep. And what year did David Luckett go to see a concert?
63.
Yep.
1963.
I didn't catch it. I didn't catch it. And in 72, who did he go see?
The Rolling Stones.
Five times.
That's all I get for you tonight.
Very good.
Thank you for that. Our on master today, I believe, is Larry McKenzie. Come on down, Larry. How they feeling me out here and standing up as I introduce him. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. This morning I had the distinct pleasure of being the master. It was fun because it was actually fun. I took great notes. Here's what I found. Everyone who spoke today was a victim of using the word ah, but so almost overtook ah. Edna, were you keeping track?
I wasn't, no.
I was doing that for you
Thank
because
you.
actually the ahs were winning until Gerald, you helped us out. Gerald, you gave us about 6 so's that brought us right up to almost the ah category, but the ahs did win. Except I'm not going to point out who used ahs and so's, but the winner of the ahs and the so's was, let's take a quick gander here, Thomas, our distinct president. You were the winner with the ahs and the so's. You had an equal amount of each. Here is the great news. We had two people today that were excellent speakers, did not use an ah or a so. Our DTM, who was our speaker today, Mark, not one ah, not one so. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're gonna give him kudos for it. Our Toastmaster of the day, David Jones. I didn't hear any ahs or so's or anything that would be interruptive of what he was doing. And Tracy didn't have any either. Tracy, great job. Let's look around the room. And Carol didn't have any. And speaking of that, and was another word that was used quite a bit today. Just so you're, in case you're wondering. Since I have a little bit of time, we're going to talk about I heard Barry Manilow's name many, many times. Barry Manilow, back in 1991, I was asked to do an event at the Old Niagara Hotel for the Barry Manilow fan club. It was a Halloween party. I got a call from Hollywood, actually. They were booking the event at the hotel. They called and said, we need somebody who can come and do our Halloween party, but they have to play only Barry Manilow music for 4.5 hours.
It's not possible.
Can you find someone who can do this? I was their man. Actually, I loved Barry Manilow and I loved his music, and I had a plethora of his music. The fun part about it is that how do you do that in a Halloween party? They all came dressed up and everything else, but I knew his bit because I'd been to Barry Manilow's concerts many, many times. So we did all of the things that he would do. At the end of the concert, people were taking my business card and everything throughout. The next day, I got a phone call and said, we're doing an event. It's a release of Barry's new Christmas album. It's in Atlantic City. Would you be interested in coming down and hosting the luncheon and doing the music for us? I said, I would love to. She said, okay, send me a contract with your riders. I didn't have a contract with riders back then, but I found out really quick. They actually housed me in Atlantic City for 4 days on the same floor with Barry Manilow's group. I did the luncheon with Barry Manilow, and I had a white microphone. It was a PV microphone. It was a white mic that Barry Manilow, when we introduced him to come up on stage, used my microphone. It was known as my Barry Manilow microphone after that. The weird part about it is that all of the fan club used to send me mail. I'd get pictures and things because they thought I had an inner something to get into the Barry Manilow world. So Barry Manilow fans are like really into Barry Manilow, and they still are. So that was one of the concerts. I've been to see Barry Manilow many, many times. And the second one I wanted to throw in was Glenn Campbell, my second concert. Glenn Campbell, I got free tickets to go to see Glenn Campbell at the Niagara Falls Convention Center. Someone said, hey, Larry, would you like to go see Glenn Campbell? I said, I would love to. There was about 600 people. It was very depressing when I went in because there was people here, there, and everywhere else. He said, come up forward. He moved everybody up into the first probably 10, 12 rows. And he came out on stage and he said, it doesn't matter how many people are here. He said, it's the quantity or the quality of the people that are here, not the quantity. And he came out and he played for almost 3 hours. He played the bagpipes, he played the guitar, he played instruments like crazy. And it was very depressing when I saw that his demise at the end. But a wonderful, wonderful man. And if you ever get an opportunity to see, he sang a song towards the end of his life that I think was his son with excellent, excellent song. And I just use it because I wanted to be one of those speakers who did that too. I'm going to turn it back to whoever is in charge. It's our general evaluator. Here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Gerald.
Thank you, Larry, for that very entertaining story. We do have a few other role players here. I did not want to forget, and thank you, Bob. Len is our tech and gesture master. If you could give your report, please.
Thank you very much, Gerald. I would love to give my report. First off, Larry, you said there were slightly more ahs than so's today?
That is correct, sir.
So the ahs have it. One thing I'll comment on, and I've seen this since we started doing the hybrid meetings. people go to significant lengths to duck out of the way of cameras. Don't do that. You don't have to limbo. The people on Zoom will forgive you walking by this camera, walking by that camera. It's a natural thing in the confines of this room, just because of the sight lines. This is not a professional studio.
What?
You will be excused for walking in front of the camera. Just don't stand there. I think our president did that for one
I'm taking
period
tomorrow.
of the day, a little bit. Now on to tech and gestures. In general, we're getting better with this microphone. This is a directional mic. Larry works it perfectly because he was a DJ. Our president spoke right into it clearly. Basically, if you can't hear yourself with your right ear coming out of that speaker, the microphone's not close enough. Probably the worst violator is Marty. Marty holds the mic down here. He moves it around. It's a prop for him. It's not functioning as a microphone when you do that, okay? So Larry did a good job. Nancy, fantastic job with the mic. You could hear yourself, we could hear you. And this is important for the people at home especially. If the voice comes out of the amplified PA, it goes into the mic, which is on that camera right there, and everybody can hear. I'm pleased to report the meeting went pretty well with our first remote Toastmaster today. I think we milestone today.
Too bad people didn't show up.
Steve your mic was too far below you. You were down here, but good gestures, especially with the demo. Thomas, again, good mic. Mark, fantastic mic. Good gestures, back and forth. And Mark, you looked back and forth and you made great eye contact with both sides of the room as well as the camera for Zoom. So that was good. I talked about Marty. That's about it. One further story I'll relate to concerts. Two stories, actually. We've referred to Melody Fair. For those of you too young or from out of state, Melody Fair was a concert venue in North Tonawanda called Theater in the Round. The stage was a big platform, round platform that rotated. So you sat in an entire circle around the performer, and a lot of the performers would comment about it. It's fairly unique, but they would face you at some point, and then you would see their backs, and then they would come around and face you again. But it was kind of unique there. We missed it when they closed down. It was a kind of a neat thing. In 2000, my ex-wife and I were at a concert at Darien Lake. Now, Darien Lake is a bit of a haul to get out there from Buffalo or the North Towns. It's an even longer drive home because there's one exit from the park. Has this ever happened to you? Two concerts you want to go to fall on back-to-back nights. It makes for quite a stressful week. But we really wanted to see both of them, and we got tickets. The first night was Styx and REO Speedwagon. That was loud. Great concert. The next night, got ourselves out there to see James Taylor, because even then we didn't know how much longer he was going to be around. Great performer.
Hey, I'm seeing him in December.
He's still plugging away. So that's my report. Thank you, everybody. Mr. General Evaluator.
For that report, then, before I ask for the final report, there's still a few people that haven't talked, and I know as Toastmasters, they're dying to talk about their concert experiences. Tracy, would you like to say a few words about your concert experiences?
Is it a country band?
First or best, and I like country too, so by all means.
Yes, so everybody knows I am a country fan. Actually, my first concert was at Journey. I was in high school. One of my friends called me out and said, "Hey, do you want to go to this concert?" I was a junior, sophomore in high school. My parents were like, "You can't do that." But I talked them into it, and I went to see Journey. Since then, I fell in love with country music. My boyfriend is in a country band. I think Aaron mentioned the Molson Canal series, and Mike opened up for Kelly Pickler there. He is playing tomorrow night at Chops from 8 to 11 for all you country fans that need to get out and see some good country music. But I like country and any type of music in smaller venues. I like those small shindigs.
UV used to, before COVID, would have just one or two country music players come in. It was just, specifically remember Kelsey Bellarmine and somebody else. And it was just them singing without being plugged in, talking about the music. Those are the best venues to see it. And also Bobby Militello, he's always at the Keenan Center.
Yeah.
Keenan Center holds about 100 people. Those are small, intimate concerts, and those are my favorite. Country, jazz, whatever it is, I like the small venue.
Tracy. Carol, it's your turn. You knew you were next. Come on up and talk about your concert experiences that you would like to share.
I think one of the best venues was Melody Fair. There I saw Glenn Campbell, Paul Anka, and Bert.
Yeah.
And also they put on plays, and although the scenery wasn't very elaborate because of the circular stage and small area, you didn't miss it. It just, they just put them on so well. And actually, when I see Shindig, maybe some of you older folks remember Bobby Sherman on the Shindig show on TV. And one of my favorite concerts was actually a few years ago. Two of my daughters got tickets, and the three of us went to see Bon Jovi, who I know is real popular in Buffalo now. But they surprised me. I mean, I knew we were going to it, but we came in and we were like 4 rows back. We got special seats. And so it was right there. And actually, my one daughter was walking, and Ricky Sambora walked by her and touched her hand. And I did see the Carpenters at the convention center, so that was probably the same concert. And then I went with a group to Las Vegas not too long after that, and guess what? The Carpenters were appearing where we stayed, and I saw the same concert. So that's my experience.
Thank you, Carol. I would like to ask for a word master report. Tom, how did the word shindig do?
Not as well as and so.
Oh, there's 2 more.
Oh, those count? All right. We're going to talk very directly and in short sentences to avoid that in the future. I appreciate the brutal honesty, because it does help me to improve, and that I was very relaxed and very sloppy when I was speaking this morning.
More drink, more coffee.
And I know that I was getting things and going, and I think I even did end the sentence with the word child.
Edna's
So-
pulling her hair out right now.
Exactly. The word did very well. Mark used it twice in his speech, which when a speaker uses it in their speech shows that not only do they know their speech well, they can take the word of the day and then put it in. It lent itself, yes. Which is a whole nother story of me and my wife discussing what the word of the day should be last night. She said that my word was too simple. No, she was saying shindig was too simple. And she had all these complex, she's the musician, so she was doing all these complex things. I don't even know what that is.
Now that was funeral, I don't think you looked at it.
Right. I think there was melody, rhythm, a few others that she was coming up with, but I did not agree. Did not tell her what word I chose. Waited for her to go to bed before I hit print on the printer today. Sylvia, Tracy, Carol, as I said, Mark twice. I believe Marty stuck it in at the very end. Edna used it twice, of course, during table topics, and Steve. Larry used it at least 3 times. I got Phil twice, Nancy once. If I missed anyone? I know that you did. You did, yes. Margot, Gerald. Oh. Jill, that's all right. That's all right. Do you want me to take it over to let the Toastmaster make any final comments?
Yeah, you can just hang on there because I'm going to turn it back to you. But just a little rebuttal to what Dr. Gerald said about me not introducing him. I just print out the agenda and general evaluators at the end. And I also noticed, Eric pointed out, there's not a ballot counter on here, so I didn't introduce or ask if there's a ballot counter. Therefore, I don't know if we have somebody to announce today's winners, but it's just an observation on the printout whenever Toastmaster, especially, I know you all are mostly been here for a while and you know the order of things, but for the newer people, if we follow this, it's not really set up properly. That's my observation, but I had a good time being Toastmaster, and back to you, Mr. President.
Okay, to address that first, a printable agenda is always a good thing to have for the meeting. It helps you do that, especially keeping a couple of the old printable agendas. And you will see the format. There is also on the Toastmaster International website a document that is for the Toastmaster that actually walks you through all the different steps and when to call for reports if you need to, when to hand a microphone and or lectern over to anybody else. And it does have general evaluator in the
Toastmaster in a box.
Toastmaster in a box.
Toastmaster in a box
that's not a
is
club
on
site, not
our
On our
website.
website? I
Yes.
know there's one on international.
That
as
was
well.
created by a former member, Doug Edmondson. And
Oh, okay.
he shared it with everyone. And that's an excellent guide to follow.
I have a folder on my computer underneath that.
Check it out. Thank you.
It's Toastmasters, and there's all the different things in there. So if someone does need a format for printing out the nice little foldable agendas or anything like that, give me a call or a text. Email is like a week-long delay as far as responses for me, so I usually see emails a week after they've already come and gone. All right. To wrap up the meeting, thank you very much, David, for hosting me. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. All right, even if you are online, look at the cameras. Everyone else, look around. Where are the tables? Where are the chairs? What's right here? What's right here? I learned this morning a lot about where things go. So just take a moment, look around. So when you show up in the following weeks, you know where something goes. It can help with setting up. Me and Marty fumbled around a little bit this morning trying to figure things out. Len was directing us very well. He was the drill sergeant this morning. No, that goes there. That goes there. And I like it. Direct leadership. Very effective, especially when time is of the essence.
Galen.
Dues. No dues. Please get on. Make sure you pay your dues on site. So we will probably have a report for us next week if we still owes or
Call us out.
emailing people. All right. Well, there you go. If I have an email, I'll see it next week.
Maybe.
The winners for today.
Drum roll.
Through, if they'd like to both come up. Best evaluator and speaker are Marty and Mark. Everyone. Someone's alarm is going off. Okay. Well, there you go. At least you could.
Cut back on the expenses.
And the winner is.
It was a good 50-50 this week, so there is some bucks in there.
This is the one, Mom.
345026.
What? Sorry.
Not even close. That was an earlier.
Yay.
Edna. I know.
Yes, the table topics winner. That was, I was holding on to because I like when it happens. We had a tie this morning so that Edna and Steve are both our winners.
It's the Wilson Day.
Whoop, whoop.
Where's your grandkid? Tell them they're a great team.
My grandkids are adults.
Here's a suitcase full of those.
Grandkids. One more never hurts. Thank you, Mark.
There's one.
An announcement or email will be coming out about next week. Go ahead.
I received a message in the notes in regards to next week being a humorous or evaluation contest. I just thought I would throw that out to you, Mr. President. It was in the notes to bring up.
Thank you. I got halfway through a sentence and that's where I was going for next week.
Oh,
There will be an announcement coming out later. There is a humorous speech contest. 2 timer positions, judges, evaluator is also being judged. So the evaluators will also be judged. The contest master, I believe, will be me or Katie. Yeah. I think this is my first contest running, so I will probably try and run it and just ask for support from Katie or anyone else.
Again, John, you can look up, I have like a minute by minute, and you can also look up online on the websites. Minute by minute, similar to what you have on the agenda.
For the
You said
contest.
You're not experienced with the contest.
Yes,
You can
yes,
look up the
yes.
information.
Then there's rules on the contest.
In the rule book.
The rule book, yes. I've read the rule book. I don't play by the rules. So. All right.
Combined.
Can I make an announcement?
Yes, go ahead.
So the Celtic Fest came up last weekend. I know it was very last minute for Toastmasters. It was an awesome opportunity for membership, which, look at our room, we need some members. Rotary, we did manage to make it. We were very last minute, but since Toastmasters and Rotary are trying to join organizations and help each other out, I would suggest that maybe next year we do a joint table between Toastmasters and Rotary.
Since they are right next to each other.
They were right next to each other at the Celtic Fest, but it would be beneficial. I was there for Rotary and thinking, oh, I can just help out the Toastmasters. I can cover both. But Toastmasters and Rotary, they both are very exceptional learning tools. I think you learn a lot of communication in Toastmasters. You learn a lot of Rotary or leadership in Rotary. They piggyback off each other, so I think they should be more joined, and this is a way to combine those, and hopefully we can do that next year. You thanks give us that opportunity once again, and thank you so much for allowing us to do that. Thank you.
And with that, I believe that brings this meeting to a close. We have a good shindig today.